she came and I did a namaste to her, and she said, and she held my hand and she started crying. And she said, "Bitya, हमको कोई नहीं पूछा था, सब भूल गए, अभी कितने सालों के बाद किसी ने हमको न्योता भेजा."
We often live for ourselves without realizing the profound impact we could create on the life of others. In my conversation with Ambreen Zaidi, a celebrated journalist and an author, a question sparked within me. How can we better understand and celebrate the heroes among us? Ambreen, renowned for her groundbreaking work on several societal issues, offers deep insights and powerful narratives in her books. Join me in exploring her extraordinary journey and the stories that inspire us to rethink our perspective.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. Today we have a very special guest with us, a journalist and an esteemed author. She has written two very interesting books on two beautiful subjects that we'll hear from her. Ambreen Zaidi. Hello ma'am, how are you?
Hi Shivam, and thank you for having me here. And yes, I do write. Writing has been my passion throughout, and I think I found my calling in writing about subjects which no one likes to write about. I try to be the voice of the voiceless and try to make a difference.
That's
in
beautiful.
my own way. Yeah.
Your first book was about war widows. Yeah. It was called Warrior Widows. Yeah. Can you tell us more about that, please?
See, for a soldier's widow, their journey, their struggle, the actual war with the life, society and everything, it begins after the death of the soldier, after the soldier is killed in action. Because there's a big taboo, there's a stigma attached to widowhood. They're not allowed to the functions, the marriages and the birthday functions or god bharais, and they're kept away from the rituals, and they have to fight it out, and then they have to bring up their kids all by themselves, follow up with the finances, the pensions. The ones who are educated, the ones who are living in cities, have a fairly better idea of things, but the ones who are not educated or who are in the villages have no idea whatsoever. And I would like to share a story of one lady called Bhagirathi Devi ji from Ayodhya. I had gone to Awadh University in Ayodhya for a lecture, and there was just one request that I had made to the VC sir there, that can I please call my warrior widows of the district to the event? And he very gladly agreed to it. And later on, his committee, which was organizing the event, they said, "Ma'am, we would like to felicitate the ladies." I said, "Wonderful." And to me, rather than my talk, their coming to the event and their felicitation and everything became the high point of the event. And I started and waiting for them, and I was there at the gate of the auditorium, and they were coming in, and there were 22 of them. I got in touch with the army people there in Ayodhya, Faizabad district. There were 22 of them. 17 of them could come. And then I see an old, frail, 86-year-old lady coming with the help of her son. And she came and I did a namaste to her, and she said, and she held my hand and she started crying. And she said, "Bitya, हमको कोई नहीं पूछा था, सब भूल गए, अभी कितने सालों के बाद किसी ने हमको न्योता भेजा." I couldn't hold back my tears, and I was like, okay. Then I sat with her, calmed her down, and then I got to know about how she had lost her husband in 1962 Indo-China war, and body भी नहीं आती थी उस टाइम पे, तो घर वापस बस वो black trunk used to come back with all his belongings. So, and अभी तक ये था कि she had not got her full compensation. She had got a pension of 3 rupees a month and a total compensation of 300 rupees a month. 300 rupees, that is it. And the government had announced a big chunk of land for her. But the Pradhan in her village was a shrewd guy. He didn't want anyone else to have a big piece of land, and that too a woman, a widow. He played dirty, and she, well, up till then she couldn't get it. And I heard her and heard more about it from her sons, went to her home, spent time with them. Then I realized, okay, these stories should come out. We all should know about them. And that is where the book started. My interaction with the war widows was started like since the day we got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as an army wife, you are exposed to various welfare measures that the Indian Army takes up, be it the war widows or the orphans or the disabled soldiers. But this was one topic that was very close to my heart, and I always wanted to do something about it. तो उस टाइम पे मतलब when I was young, newly married, तो लगता था I used to sit with them, talk to them, and हर एक की नई जर्नी पुणे में है तो डिफरेंट, जोधपुर में है तो बिल्कुल ही डिफरेंट है, महाराष्ट्र सॉरी सिक्किम is again a different culture. So I wanted to put it all together, and then one thing what came out was they did not have a place to go to if they had a issue. And we as normal people have issues in our lives, and these are widows with no support whatsoever. So I thought I'll make a website, or maybe at that time when I was young, the internet was very new in India. I thought I'll make a website called warwidows.com, so that they can just log in from anywhere and tell us about their problems and issues, and we can reach out to them. Somehow one posting after another, and one, the life took over and everything else. I could not make that website, but then yes, finally I could write a book, and book could make a difference.
What kind of support does Army provide to the war widows at the moment?
See, they're there for them. They're there like whenever the mishap occurs. Army is there for them from the day one. All their paperwork, their pensions, everything is taken care of. But later on, they have to take on,
of course,
with their lives, the challenges, for their everyday challenges. Army cannot be there for everything. Right. So they have to come out of their cocoon, face the world, do things which they've never done, go to banks. Finances are a major issue. So Army support is there. AWA is there, Army Wives Welfare Association. But then it is there up to a certain extent.
Of course.
Yeah.
After a point that they need to, make a life of themselves as well.
Yeah.
And of course, get out of the army loop, because they were in the army because of their husbands.
Yeah. And now the husband is no more. So they're back to the civilian society. So you have to face the world, you have to face the challenges. And they've been very, very inspiring stories.
There must be some, that was my next question, that do you have any inspiring stories to share from people who have gone up at another level after facing such adversity?
There's one story which I have often quoted and often spoke about, is about a widow, a wife of a soldier posted in Kashmir, a Kashmiri soldier posted in Kashmir. He was from the territorial army. He was posted on a forward post, and they had 3 sons. How I got to know about this lady was, I was researching about this book. So one lady led to another, one widow led to another. And there are many retired officers who work for war widows and war disabled soldiers. So there's one Brigadier Harcharan Singh, very old person, officer. He is based in Jammu. So somebody gave me his contact and he told me about this lady. I said, ma'am, I'll not tell you anything about her. You will have to talk to her yourself and find out. And this, I can assure you, this is going to be a very, what can I say, a very heartbreaking, or you can take it the way you want to, but then a very, very special story in your book. I said, okay. I took the number. I told the lady, okay, Brigadier Harcharan se mila hai number, ye wo sab. So the story was that they had 3 sons. Husband was at some forward post, and the elder one was in class 12th. Or somebody in the family had bought a new car. Some mama or chacha had bought a new car. So he came home and told mom, Mama, I'll just go and take a round and come back. And so, take him, jao. He met with a very serious accident. He was in coma, and father rushed home from his unit, took leave and came home. What happened? The boy died in 2 days' time. He was very badly injured. So they got the body home and they were preparing the body for the last rites. It was a heartbreaking scene, and parents were in a bad state. What no one knew was that the terrorist had eyes on the soldier, the father of the child, who was sitting right beside the dead body of the child. They barged in and killed the father too. That lady tells me कि madam उस दिन मेरे घर से 2 अर्थियाँ निकली थी. And today, Shivam, that lady is the voice of the voiceless in Kashmir. She fights for the ladies who were widows, because Kashmir has a lot of widows. Jammu and Kashmir police, paramilitary forces, and they're all very soft targets. So Kashmir government has made a colony for them, which is a little safe and secured. So they're women who are in depression, they're children who are in depression, they're people, the youngsters who take up the path of terrorism. So this woman is now one lady who guides everyone, stands up for anyone and everyone, and she tells me कि मैम मैं जब भी श्रीनगर में सेना भवन पे जाती हूँ, सैनिक बोर्ड वाला जो सैनिक भवन है, तो मुझे लगता है मैं अपने मैके आ गई हूँ. Imagine a Kashmiri woman saying so. कि थे मुझे अपने सबने छोड़ दिया था, पर मेरे को आर्मी ने अपना लिया. So Shivam, these were the stories which kept me going. And as I don't know, destiny, my book, I always wanted to be an author, but my book, The Warrior Widows, came out in between the deaths of both my parents. My mama could see it, my daddy couldn't, but then she was happy.
I'm sure your dad did bless you for that. Like, he made you capable enough to write a book on such a touching topic as well. Right?
Yes. So these are the stories, and these are the people who keep you, motivated and want you to do more for the society. If nothing else, you can at least create awareness. Yes, such people also exist. Even for my this new book, Soldiering On, you have stories where, there are cases which I had never even heard of. You will be amazed to hear about an officer who was invalided out of service because of a spinal cord injury. He couldn't function his the lower side, and he could only function his hands, and he could speak. But then he never gave up. He refused, and he said, okay, I cannot walk around, I cannot do the usual stuff, I cannot, he was a pilot, I cannot fly, but I can do a desk job. Don't deprive me of the dream that I had dreamt. I wanted to be an Air Force officer. And luckily for him, he had guidance from another paraplegic soldier, flying officer MP Kumar, who I had met when we were in Pune. He was again a paraplegic. At that time, computers were a very new thing, but then he got his computer modified, and he used to hold a stylus with his mouth and write beautiful articles. He even wrote a book from airborne, because he was a flying officer, from airborne to chairborne. He passed away a couple of years back. So he motivated him. Yeah, you can do it. Look at me. If I can do it, you are at a much better. So write to the chief of the Air Force, and he also wrote to the chief of the Air Force then. And luckily, his application was accepted, and he was the first officer to be again commissioned, and commissioned on a wheelchair. Well, no one would ever believe that. But we have people like them serving us, serving the nation. So I think the least I can do is create awareness about
Spread the awareness that you try to do. Yes. That's beautiful, ma'am. I would like to congratulate you on your new book, which is due to release. Yeah. And it's called Soldiering On.
Yes.
It is the new book that talks about India's disabled soldiers. You had an opportunity to interview a lot of these disabled soldiers. Yeah. You interviewed 12 of them, and the stories lie in here. What is the one common thing between all of these 12 soldiers that you interviewed? What do you think is, of course, they must be really inspiring because they would be mentally very strong now that they have gone through such adversities. But what is one common thing that you found in having a conversation with them?
See, initially, whenever I met a disabled soldier, it was always a very overwhelming moment for me. But one major point that came out of every story was everyone told me one thing. Okay, disability is in the head. It is in the mind. If I think I'm disabled, I don't have a leg, I don't have legs, or I don't have an arm, so I'm disabled. But if I think I'm not disabled and I can function like any other able-bodied person, I don't think I'm a disabled person. I have a story of Naik Deep Chand. So he lost both his legs, one arm in the line of duty, and two fingers of another hand. And if you meet him, Shivam, you will never ever, I think I've never met a much more positive person than him. He comes to Delhi, he goes for rallies, he goes for motorbike, they have those modified motorbikes. He goes for the motorbike rallies and road trips, creates awareness about disabled people and how we need to ramp up our places so that they can, they can have easy access. और उसको देख के लगता ही नहीं है कि he doesn't have legs or arms. The jazba that is there, the junoon that he has in his voice. So it's amazing to meet such people, and
That's great. So all of them inspired you to, of course, when you interact with them, they leave a lot of impression in your mind as well.
Yes.
So it helps you, understand the power of mind more.
Yes, absolutely. And how everything plays up, right? You go to the kitchen and you hurt your finger or something, and you bandage it, and oh, I can't cook today, I've hurt my finger. Look at them. They're leading their lives with so much of grace and dignity, and there has been so much of adversity in their life. Issues, the cases, the court cases, the compensations, the fights for their rights. Despite everything, with their head held high, these men of steel, I would say, have really made us proud, and it is actually it is honor for me to be interviewing them, spending time with them, sitting with them, having them speak about their lives and their life journeys. That was nice.
So I'm going to ask you a very similar question that I asked you about the war widows. That is there enough support by the Indian Army or the Ministry of Defense to these individuals who are facing adversities?
Indian Army, yes, I would say. Mm-hmm. See, there's a phrase you must have heard: "Ki Army never leaves its soldiers behind. Even if they are retired, even if they are disabled, mm-hmm. they're there for their brothers in arms." So we have a major hospital here, the R&R hospital, which takes care of them. Plus, Pune has a major role because it has a paraplegic rehabilitation center, mm-hmm. which is there in Mohali also. But Pune one is bigger and well equipped. And they have a Paralympic node. They have a spinal cord injury center, and they have artificial limb center. So you lose a limb, you go to ALC, Artificial Limb Center, give your measurements and everything, and then within few months or whatever time it takes, they make a new limb for you, or a hand for you, or fingers for you, or a ear. Of course, you can't hear it, but at least there's something here. Because there's a story of a soldier in my book who the IED blast took off literally on his face. वही होता है कि so these centers help them, and Paralympic Node is one place where these soldiers play games. They are trained to participate at the national and international Paralympic Games, and they do such a wonderful job. They win medals, gold medals, shot put, and discus, and amazing stories. So, and working on themselves, making themselves fitter, and with whatever is left of their bodies.
Yeah, come back stronger.
They come back stronger. I also have a story of, again, Air Force guy who cannot function from his neck below. He can speak, but he cannot. He had a spinal cord injury, and he was in a very bad shape. And again, he came to Pune for rehabilitation, for his treatment first, and then rehabilitation. And then he saw the person who's the inspiration for this book, Flying Officer MP Kumar. If he can do it, I can also do it. He watched him holding a stylus and writing on computer. He went around. It took him 6 to 8 months to decide what he wants to do, because there were other paraplegic soldiers also doing their stuff. And there were some were working for a call center who could speak and stuff. So he decided on mouth painting. And today, as of now, as we speak, he's a member of Mouth and Foot Painters of the World Association in Switzerland. His paintings are sold there.
Wow.
So these are the stories that make you go, wow, right? So and you want to tell the world, see what kind of men we have with us, and no remorse. Love this fellow that I'm talking about, the mouth painter, Mridul. He went on. He educated his younger brother and sister. His sister was very good in studies. Now he proudly tells us that she's the most educated girl in their community. And all because of his help and support.
Yeah. So when you interact with them, do you see that these people understand life better than people who are able and people who have a normal life?
Much better. Much better. Because today I say something nasty to you and you'll be sulking, or you say something odd to me, I'll be sulking for a week or 10 days. But these people who've been hit so hard, they've lost a body part or parts, even then they find no, they have no pity. There's no self-pity. That's the best part. And that's the loveliest thing about them.
So it's all about gratitude as well, that they are grateful of having their life intact with them, even if not physically, but mentally.
They're grateful in the sense that they belong to the forces.
Achha.
Because the same thing they say, if they were civilians, if this thing had happened to them in a civilian atmosphere, the kind of support the army gives or the medical services give is not there in the civil world. No. The rehabilitation centers and the Paralympic Node, which sends its soldiers for all these games. Somebody is going to Singapore or Vietnam or Europe mein itne hote rehte. So this is not there. And even if it is there, very few people know about it. There are no training academies. So they end up living in their villages with no access. They end up living in places where even moving a wheelchair is an issue. So
there's a new policy that we were discussing before our interview that is being implemented in terms of the remuneration provided to the disabled soldiers. Can you share more on it to me, please?
Well, it is a little upsetting issue for all the disabled soldiers. there's one clause which says that any person, any soldier who gets disabled within 10 years of his service will not be given disability benefits. But I think there is some miscommunication between the policymakers and the people on ground. And through your interview, I'll request them to, have a relook at the policy and reframe it, and make it better, make things better for these soldiers. And that's what this book intends to do: create awareness about them, and tell them about, see what all they go through, and yet we're depriving them of their basic rights, which is not right.
I mean, you're doing an amazing job in spreading awareness on the topics that no one talks about. Where does your passion come from? Because I see whenever you are having that conversation with you, I see that light up in your eyes. Where does it come from? Where have there must be some connect with these people that you interact with.
See, my husband has been an army officer. So I've seen death and disability very closely. I've seen the helplessness of these people very closely. The widows. I've seen my friend's best friend, his family getting shattered when he lost his father, very closely. So I think it's all internal. It's your own experiences that are now. I think I've found my calling. I think, that's where it comes from. It's something very personal and something which I have seen firsthand. So that is how.
So what would you say is your purpose in life in terms of these subjects? What is it you want to see? Like when will Ambreen be satisfied?
Well, one, for disabled soldiers, I don't want them to fight for their rights. I want government and the policymakers and whoever is making rules for them, I want them to be more empathetic towards them. And I don't want them to go to courts to get their rights and remunerations. And same for my widows. Accept them as they are, so that they're not shunned, so that they're not, isolated from the society. The day that happens, I think that will be the day when I'll be happy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nice. So I ask my guests two very personal questions. Number one question is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I wish I would have started earlier. I was writing. I have been writing for almost 15, 16 years actively. But as an author, I think I'm a bit late. But it's okay. It's better late than never.
Like they say, it's never late. It's never late.
Yeah, it's never late. So it's okay.
Since we're talking about writing, what is the essence of writing? For you, it is for a book, right? But what is the real importance of writing?
Creating an impact. Apart from the book, I also have a column with the Times of India, Barracks and Beyond. I write for them. Again, issues which need immediate attention. And it is not entirely based on the armed forces of India. It's barracks and beyond. So anything which I'm passionately, thinking about, I write about it.
Creating an impact and spreading awareness is one way of looking at writing.
Yes.
But there's another way of looking at writing, that is your personal growth and personal improvement through your writings.
Yes.
What is your take on that?
Well, I've grown. I have matured as a person through my writings and through my experiences with these people. The little things which used to put a pressure on me or stress me out don't matter to me. I've become very detached to all the materialistic things that are there, and because I know there are these legends amongst us who are living a far better life than us, despite the loss that they have. Even if it's a widow or a disabled soldier, they've perspective towards life is so amazing and so good that I think even my perspective has changed. And that is what I tell everyone. Especially after this book, the second book of mine, live in the moment. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And today, right now, you and me together, this is what we have. This is the moment.
Right.
We should make the most of it. So that's the major life lesson that I've learned through my writings.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Second personal question that I ask my guests is, you read a lot as well, because someone who writes has to read a lot. What is one book you wish you would have read earlier in life?
A lot of people told me to read the autobiography of a yogi.
A yogi, yes.
Yeah. And very recently, manifestation, law of manifestation and attraction. And I've been thinking of reading the book because a lot of these people told me about, that book is amazing. That helps you. Yeah. Next time I go back home, I'll order that book. I used to have that. And last week, somebody gifted that book to me.
Wow.
So right now,
Have you started reading that book?
I've started reading it, but I'm taking my own time. And since this book is has just released, so it was taking up a lot of my time. But 1 page a day is what I'm doing. But reading that book.
Is there any book that has moved you in a massive way that you already read, and you wish that maybe if I would have read it as a youngster, it would have transformed my life even better? Nothing as such.
Nothing as such.
But Autobiography of a Yogi is a good book. I have read it myself, and yeah, I'm sure it's going to be quite good for you as well.
And many of my soldiers have read it. I guess that is where they get this mental strength from, because it's not just the physical disability that they have. The struggle of getting up and going to the washroom
Again and again.
Again and again.
With the pain, with the mental issues, with everything.
Yeah.
And just fighting through it, it really tells your resilience about it.
Yes. So these are the men and women who make me do all sorts of things that I do. And I'm passionate about them. And the day India realizes the kind of legends and, inspiring people that we have living amongst us, I think that will be the day then we can celebrate our soldiers and their families.
That's amazing. I would like to congratulate you again for your new book.
Thank you.
And I wish a lot of people get their hands on it and they actually read it, so the awareness you're trying to spread reaches to mass media as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me over.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you.